Welcome back to the United Pubcast. Finally, some football to talk about. If you're here for transfers and ownership talk, wait for the next episode because I'm not going to waste the opportunity to talk some football. I did think it was going to be another 16 years until we were able to beat Leeds. But the time has come far sooner than expected, which I'm very pleased for. So, Larry, or should I say Marcus Rashford, you've given him some criticism in recent weeks about his dress sense, but you have done your best, in my opinion, and looking quite flashy.
Thank you, mate. I wear one chain and one puffer jacket, and suddenly I'm doing a Marcus Rashford impersonation. Tell you what, Tom, if I could impersonate his football talent, I'd be absolutely thrilled because I wouldn't be sitting here doing videos with you. I'd be going on tour to versus Leeds. But nonetheless, I'm absolutely pumped for this game. I get pumped for transfers as much as anybody, but it's the football that gets my blood rushing. I very much love watching Manchester United play football. Transfers just talk about which players will be playing the football. It's the 90 minutes for me, and we've got our first 90 minutes of the season. So I'm very excited for that.
Well, what is it about pre-season in regards to here? I'm sure all the excitement we share and people in the live chat will share is, okay, which young players are going to go? We're going to see a Mason Mount debut. We're going to see Kobbie Mainoo get a start, Ahmad back, and that sort of generates all this excitement. But then throughout, sort of halfway through pre-season, now obviously there's an initial buzz now because it's been a few weeks out of the football, but halfway through pre-season, throughout the tour, when the transfer talk sort of heats up and sort of you fully understand the results don't matter, pre-season can drag out a little bit in regards to the matches, sort of feel very sort of unimportant. But in terms of we know that feeling's coming, but here we are like little kids saying, oh, the football's back, I can't wait for it. So it's a mix of I can't wait for it, but I also know halfway through it, even last season, this time last year, we're down in Melbourne. I had no interest in the football. I stayed in a hotel room one game instead of going to the ground sort of thing. I was a bit under the weather. But in terms of that excitement can sort of fluctuate throughout pre-season.
Yeah, and I think last season was probably a unique situation because we knew we needed a lot of surgery and the transfers were a bit slow to come in. In fact, most of United's transfer business actually came after Melbourne. So, that's worth highlighting. United had at the time we signed Malacia. I think Martinez got announced, and then it was Eriksen. Or was it the other way around?
Eriksen was announced on the tour. Martinez, I think, just after. But Malacia did travel.
Yeah, exactly. So Malacia travelled, but no one else did. So in terms of transfer buzz, there was one player there. Ronaldo had a cloud over the club as well, so let's not forget that. That impacted pre-season. We didn't know whether Ronaldo was going to remain, what signings would come in, etc. I think this season is a little bit different. I personally get the buzz of which players will improve. Will this be the breakout year for a player? Will Anthony Martial manage to stay fit? Will Alvaro Fernandez take his opportunity? That's what personally gets me going. It's what young kid can take their opportunity, and is this the beginning of a player kicking on in their career? Is this going to be the big breakout season? Now, if you take me back to preseason last season, from what I saw of Marcus Rashford, if you told me he'd go on to score 30 goals, he looked sharp. He didn't look like he was going to find the back of the net, though. So I'll be really keen to see, is there a player who stands out in preseason, maybe forces their way into the first team?
Yeah, it's an opportunity. I think all the players, they're all adults, and some of them are obviously extremely young players, but they're all adults, and you sort of sit here and they're fully understanding, like a young player coming through at centre-back knows that Rafael Varane is going to be playing ahead of him. They fully, I don't care if I put out a 10 out of 10 performance throughout this pre-season campaign. If Rafael Varane is fit, he's going to play. Or if Onana signs, Kovar knows I don't care if I save 6 penalties during this pre-season, Onana's going to be the goalkeeper. So these players are fully aware of their status within the squad, but you can take your opportunity. There's no doubt if you do put in a performance or a sort of string of performances throughout pre-season, you can make it extremely hard for a manager. I remember my first season coming into first grade. I was in the sort of 16s, the 18s, and I sort of skipped the under-20s and into first grade. And I remember I had an unbelievable pre-season. I just hit the ground running. Everything I touched turned to gold. I was scoring goals, and I wasn't a goal scorer. But I was in unbelievable form in pre-season. And it got to the first game of the season. I remember the coach sort of talking to me and saying, look, you're really not – I don't think you should be sort of starting this first game of the season. It's a different ball game. And I thought, no, I'll be right. I played this team in pre-season. I scored 2 goals against them. It was great. He said, yeah, okay. He threw me in from the start. That first 45 minutes, I had the worst 45 minutes of my life. Like, it was a different ball game, that first game of the season in terms of competitive football compared to pre-season. It was just, I was hit like a truck. I was hooked at halftime. And I was like, oh, that's what he meant by competitive football. It was a real sort of eye-opener. So no matter how good a player does in pre-season, the senior pros do take over when 3 points are up for grabs on a weekend when does come down to Wolves. But say good day to a few people in the live chat. Then we'll go through sort of not a starting 11, but sort of who we expect or who we want to see play in each position. Dion, good to see you as always, mate. Justin, hope all is well. John, good to see you, mate, from Talking Tennis. If you do need some tennis content, head over there, especially throughout Wimbledon. That'll be good. And obviously, yeah, but you mentioned names to sort of take the chance. Anthony, interesting season for him. Is it second season syndrome in a good way or a bad way? Anthony's obviously in for a lot of talking points this season. Charlie, good to see you, mate. Marshall, so yeah, it's my concern. I kind of want to rest him throughout this preseason in regards he does need fitness so he can hit the ground running, but I'm a bit scared to sort of throw him in because we need him fit for Wolves at the moment.
Sorry, Tom, there's some breaking news. Marshall is already holding his hamstring as he lies in his hotel.
Do you remember that it was Eric Ten Hag's speech at the end? Because he played that last game of the season there and then he said something and then Marshall felt his hammy, then was out of the FA Cup final. So it's so tongue-in-cheek, but sadly that is unfortunately the case. But Dion, remember how just getting that previous season was much different this time around. Rob, good to see you as always. Charlie tuned in from the UK, which is obviously great. Rob here just reminded me here, and we'll crack on with the pod after. Remember, our audio podcast is available on your podcast app, so iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. Go over there. The latest episode is out. Larry and I have a bit of a chat in regards to the age profile of our squad and what that means for the results on a Saturday, but also the future business of Manchester United's transfer market. So head over to your podcast app and give us a follow there. But Larry, we will usually bring up a bit of a graphic and go, this is predicted or preferred starting 11. Now, there's going to be so many names that sort of pop up where we simply don't have a graphic for. So we said, instead of doing that starting 11 sort of graphic, we'll just sort of run through each position and talk about sort of what we want to see, because obviously is his first choice team going to be the first half team or is it going to be the second half team? I'm pretty confident they're going to be 45 minutes each. So I don't think we could read too much into, okay, whoever starts this game, okay, that's plan A. It'll definitely be a mixture. So I'll go through each position and just sort of rattle off some names and what we expect both for this Leeds match, but also their season ahead. So starting in goals, we don't have a goalkeeper at the moment. The three goalkeepers that are sort of photoed in training are obviously Kovar. I think Nathan Bishop's there as well. Now Nathan Bishop's not going to play. But you've obviously got Kovar, Tom Heaton, and Dean Henderson is there. He's in and around training. So goalkeeper, what are you expecting against Leeds? I would personally like to see Kovar get a start, and then if you have to throw Dan Henderson or Tom Heaton in the second half, feel free. But in my sort of first choice at the moment out of those people is Kovar. But Dean Henderson is there. You probably kind of maybe have to put him in the shop window a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to see Kovar, but I don't see it happening. I think we've already got enough established goalkeepers there that I imagine one of those players will get game time. You got to think it is still a business at the end of the day, as awful as that sounds, and as much as fans we don't like to hear it. If you want to sell Dean Henderson, you got to keep Dean Henderson match fit. So Dean Henderson has to be put into the shopping window, and therefore I actually think Henderson will play, to be honest. So that's actually the way I'd be going for goalkeeper. I don't think Kovar might play second half, but yeah. I think Henderson starts. Most eyes are on the football game at the start of the match, so.
Yeah, no, look, I think that's a fair shout now, because obviously he didn't play towards the end of the season. Obviously, they brought in Keylor Navas, didn't they, Nottingham Forest? So he definitely does need minutes, not for Manchester United's benefit. But it's probably worth an interesting show. It'll be interesting to see his relationship with Eric Ten Hag, obviously what he said this time last year. But look, yeah, a better man would have maybe Dean Henderson sort of playing the predominant role as the goalkeeper. I would like to see Kovar, as said. But look, Tom Heaton featured last season over the likes of Jack Butland, etc. So maybe Tom Heaton gets the run. But I think goalkeeper, it's kind of those ones you just sort of you look at, but you kind of have to tick that box off. We definitely know who's going to be between the sticks come Wolves if there's no sort of issues with that, which it should be announced anytime soon. We'll make sure you hit the notification bell, because Onana could get a here we go anytime, and we'll definitely react to that. But I think Onana's going to be the goalkeeper 9 times out of 10 when the season does kick off. Now, across to right back, Diego Dalot is still on holiday. Congratulations to him and his partner. His partner is pregnant, so congratulations to them, but he's still on holiday, so he's not available. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is training, but obviously I have seen, who I've mentioned before on this podcast, Mark Gerardo is in and around training, so he's potentially going to travel to Norway. I'm not sure if the team has travelled, or they're probably travelling in the next couple of hours, you would assume. But my understanding of the options at right back is Gerardo and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Would you just be saying it's a straight 45 minutes for each?
Yeah, probably. Look, Wan-Bissaka will start, I think. It's a long pre-season, so it will be interesting to see what Ten Hag does. But if you're Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you have to think any opportunity to play for Manchester United is an opportunity to say, I'm going to be the first choice right back. Let's not forget that it's not clear cut between him or Diogo Dalot, who is first choice. Now, credit to both those players. They both lifted their game last season. But I think most Manchester United fans aren't convinced about either player. I think there's an element of Wan-Bissaka could be better going forward. Diogo Dalot isn't quite brilliant in either area, but being solid as an all-round.
While I have those questions, look, I agree in terms of if we're winning a treble or winning a Champions League, maybe not those two, but maybe you do need someone better. But I'm confident of success with either of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not. Neither of them are like below the level. You could see either being both are very capable of being a squad player for Manchester United. I think the problem with both of them is no one's a clear-cut first choice. So, and it kind of, you do want an obvious choice.
That was my question. Is Erik Ten Hag happy with that battle, or would he like a goal? We've had a discussion around goalkeeper. You want a clear number one. You don't want that battle at right back. Yeah. Does he want a battle, or would he prefer a first choice?
I think he'd like a battle, but I think he'd like the caliber of the players having the battle to be a bit higher. But like we've all said, it's not immediate. United can go into next season with either right back and be confident, and neither of them will be the reason United lose a game. But maybe with a better right back, they could possibly contribute to further 3 points in another game. So that's probably where I'd put the right back situation at the moment.
Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't disagree there. Charlie, back in the goalkeeper discussion, Kovar is wanted by the club back in the Czech Republic he played for last season. They want to buy him. You'd definitely assume they do have an interest. Obviously, they did win the league, and he did have a very good season for them. And you'd think there, in terms of what other players are currently going for, Manchester City just sold a youth player who hasn't made a first-team appearance for over £10 million. I'm seeing Kovar has won a league title over in the Czech Republic. We should be getting a little bit of money for him if he is to be sold. So maybe Kovar and Dean Henderson are in a very similar boat in regards to the shop window. But we'll move across to the centre-back issue or centre-back position. Obviously, Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane are both training. Sorry, and Lisandro Martinez is interested on he's back fit, back training, how match fit he is. I wouldn't say match fit, but obviously off the back of his injury, he hasn't had any minutes. So are you expecting Lisandro Martinez to play, or do you think it's a bit too soon? He's back running, but in terms of playing football, maybe not quite ready.
If he's fit, yeah, I think he will start because he's played the least football out of any defender going on tour. I think it's probably a good opportunity to get him to start against a championship side like Leeds. I am intentionally poking fun there, in case you're wondering.
But I'll put him in the same category as Donny van der Beek in regards to, okay, they're back. But in terms of now that they might be fully ready to go, obviously the medical staff and Erik Ten Hag would know that. But in terms of, it's quite a serious injury. Like, obviously the recovery wasn't too long. But it's the first game of pre-season. It's one of those ones you definitely don't need to rush them back if they're getting the work done on the training pitch.
Yeah, I understand that. But if he's match fit, I think you try and get him out there. Let's not forget, I mean, Martinez hasn't played a game of football in 4 months. So
that's what I think. It's a serious injury. I forget how long the actual injury was, but
I want to say it happened in March. Metatarsal.
It's probably around then. Yeah.
So in March, we're in July. He needs to play some football.
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, I'd love to see him play, obviously, and he does look fit just in regards to, we do have so many games this preseason, there's a lot of travel.
Can I say, on Martinez, sorry to interrupt you, mate. I was watching some highlights of him and the season he had. His ability with the ball, his long-range passing is ridiculous.
He kind of gives me more excitement in regards to Onana. Okay, Onana's going to be brilliant on the ball, and that's going to transform the way we play. It's not so much coming from Onana. It's almost Lisandro Martinez. Like when Lisandro Martinez can find Onana or Onana can find him, that's where I think Lisandro Martinez will be the key. Because we always have debate, should he be playing in midfield? Like, he's a really good ball-playing centre-back. And I think we're going to have so much focus on Onana being sort of the difference maker in regards to playing out from the back. I think a lot of it is Lisandro Martinez.
You're right, but I think what Onana will do is free up Martinez. Because
that's what I mean. There'll be a combination,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because at the moment, like De Gea's frailties were almost, there was a Band-Aid over them because Martinez really covered for De Gea a lot. I think with Onana there, you're going to see Martinez's influence. You're right. His influence on the football team will change a lot. I love that. this is the football nerd in me. So a challenge to anyone who's listening who, wants to be a football nerd or is interested in this. I'll be really keen to see if United's positional play on the ball changes. So we saw United generally line up in I'm going to butcher this. We had 2 centre-backs, 4 in the middle, I want to say. And then the front was it was a 3. But you basically, you had one of the fullbacks actually occupying midfield in possession, and you actually had the other fullback playing further up the football pitch. So I'll be fascinated to see with Martinez and Onana there, does Ten Hag almost change the way United play in possession? I mean, we saw with Manchester City, they pretty much they played with 2 centre-backs essentially in possession. So that's what I'll be really keen to see, because you'd think with Onana, United will play further up the pitch. So does that change the way we set up? I'm absolutely fascinated to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, I think that's you always sort of do get a picture in pre-season in terms of what a manager is sort of ideally wanting. Now that can change in terms of the players he does have his disposal. But definitely that's one of the key things to look out for in terms of what they're trying to work on the training ground. Is obviously whatever they're doing on the training ground will try to be implemented in these games. How effective, obviously, the time will tell. But you obviously do get a inclination into what the manager is thinking. Now, just to finish on centre back there, now, I used to watch MUTV. It used to be on my TV, so I could used to watch it just non-stop. It was the only thing on. I used to watch all the 18s, all the under 23s. Since it's gone off my TV, it's just on my iPad, so I don't watch as often. So I haven't watched the under 18s and 23 as much in the last 2 seasons, but I do keep a keen eye from time to time. But I'm not overly familiar with all the centre-back names. Obviously, I know Will Fish has returned from loan. He's back in training, so he's obviously going to be around the squad. There's, I think, 1 or 2 other centre-backs. Unfortunately, I'm not sort of too familiar with their names from the under-23s last season. Do you expect any kids to feature in this match, or you think it will be a case of it? Because we've seen Tuan Zabi's left the club, Ted Mengi's left the club. And I'm just thinking, you're seeing any young players potentially get a run at centre? Because, again, Varane Martinez is not going to play 90 minutes. It's going to be 45. So who's going to take those 2 spots when they're not on the pitch?
That's going to be fascinating, because I don't know what centre-backs are left at the club.
I know Will Fish is there, but that's the other one.
I was going to say Will Fish. Well, the last time Will Fish got a run out for United, he got done, didn't he? He didn't play well, and then he got injured. Or did he get a red card? I can't remember.
Was that in those 2 mid-season games?
No, that was in Melbourne.
I was in Melbourne. I was in Melbourne. I don't even remember. Was that the game I didn't attend? Was it?
I don't remember. Did he get a red card, or did he?
I vaguely remember something. I thought it was their own goal, a red card, or something.
Something with Will Fish. Yeah, something with Will Fish. Anyway.
In the comments, John, I'd like to see this. Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister. That would be a bit of a throwback. Definitely good to see.
Rio and Vidic. Can we say Tom and I watched Rio kick a ball around in Guildford when was that? In March?
It was in one of the international breaks throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, Rio came to Australia and we went and watched him. He played was it a full pitch? It was a full pitch.
It was just a charity game, so yeah.
But if there was a ball coming toward him, Rio basically moved out of the way. He was not interested in having any sort of collision whatsoever. So don't put Rio out there. Who knows?
He'd only been in the country a couple of days. Sorry?
Yeah. You know who might actually get an opportunity at centre-back, although I think he's a left-back?
Oh, but yeah, I've seen that with Alvaro. Well, go ties nicely into the next discussion. Alvaro Fernandez obviously returned from his loan at Preston. Now, Luke Shaw, I don't believe he's back in training. He's one of the internationals, so he shouldn't be. And obviously, Central Malacia is still away on holiday. So there is the name in Alvaro Fernandez. You're right in regards to could potentially, just in terms of filling in numbers, have to fill in at centre back. But let's put him in his preferred position for this discussion at left back. Alvaro Fernandez, you mentioned him at the start in regards to potentially taking sort of his opportunity. Now, with the 2 left backs at the club currently not there, it's a perfect opportunity for him. Now, again, no matter what he does, who's going to start the season? Luke Shaw is the correct answer. But if he performs well, the opportunity is his. Yeah,
and the thing is, on ability, with full respect to Malacia, he's much better. He really is. There's no deficiency in Alvaro Fernandez's game that where you say Malacia has it over him. Maybe a bit. Malacia's got a bit of pitbull in him, like aggression, I suppose. I don't think I don't think Alvaro Fernandez plays not with an obvious like Carlos Tevez style. Like he doesn't play with an obvious aggression in his face. He doesn't look animated. But in terms of a footballer, the full round package, energy, getting up and down, technical ability, Alvaro Fernandez has everything to be a first choice fullback for Manchester United. For me, I could be wrong. Obviously,
Yeah, no, look, I'll definitely love to see it. Obviously, I've been a fan of him since his arrival from Real Madrid, but it's one of those ones he does have stiff competition ahead of him, especially in Luke Shaw's role. Malacia is the one, obviously, Eric Ten Hag's man he has brought in. So there's obviously, I wouldn't say favouritism in a bad way, but Eric Ten Hag obviously sees something in Malacia a lot. And again, I do see positives in Malacia. This is not throwing him out of the club. But in regards to Eric Ten Hag, might see different things that we don't, that he's aware of, which he does like. And but Alvaro Fernandez, if he performs well, maybe he does challenge Malacia, and that's obviously a good thing, no doubt about. Another potential, not to sort of for a future at Manchester United, but in regards to this game and maybe kicking one or two people in white shirts. Brandon Williams with a bit of a song at United.
I don't see it.
Just for this game, just in regards to getting through. As I said, there's no left backs besides Fernandez.
Potentially, but it might even throw him at right back. Who knows? But yeah, I think Brendan Williams is in his final days as a Manchester United player. I can't even see him going on loan. I think he gets sold. It hasn't worked out for him. I don't know what's going on with him. Clearly, something's not right because he was solid enough. He probably had an opportunity to play football this season. I don't know what's happened, but
he had a big injury, which obviously sort of didn't let Manchester United sort of get rid of him at the time. When he did come back from loan, where he was at Norwich, he came back and couldn't get that second move after a bit of an injury. But Andrew, is the game on United Channel? Yeah, it is on MUTV Thursday. It's a 1 a.m. unfortunately here, so we won't be reacting post match. We'll leave that for about 12 hours after. But on MUTV. The matches. And Tom, good to see you, mate. I feel like he gets too much criticism. He's very decent in his first season. Look, as for a young player coming in, and obviously at a good price for a young player coming in this season, I think he did very well. Now, we obviously criticise him a lot at times for certain performances, but considering the player he is and what the job he's come in and done, I think he's been, I would say great signing, but extremely positive. Now, that extremely positive, it might not result in a career at Manchester United. He might need to fall by the wayside and we improve. Yeah, I think Malacia was good. I don't see a Champions League winning left back there, but I probably didn't see that in Patrice Evra when he first arrived. Now, that's obviously a very lazy comparison in regards to the stature of the two players. But I think Malacia was good this season. Needs to improve like any other player this window. But we'll move into midfield, Larry, in regards to the big boys aren't there at the moment in regards to Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, etc. But we have a new player. We have a new number 7 in midfield. Now, line this midfield up how you do want to see, or if you just want to talk about the players individually. But you got Mason Mount there. Obviously, everyone on the tip of our tongue in regards to Colby Mainoo would obviously love to see him play. He's been heavily involved in Manchester United social medias. Is that an inclination or a clue that he will be involved potentially? Obviously, Eric Ten Hag obviously has spoken highly of him in the past.
It's put on size, Mainoo.
Well, that's why I think he's still kind of, when you do see him on the field, like, okay, yeah, he's a kid playing there, but he looks like that kid who's just constantly growing. And you think, okay, well, in 5 years, he will be a monster. And I'm just thinking that is one where he does look a little bit small like on the field, not the close-up photos, of course. He's an absolute machine. But, I do see positive. If he performs, of course, he has to perform. But I do see, like last window, this time last year, we were talking about Zidane, Iqbal, and Charlie Savage, and we brought this up last couple of days. Good players, good footballers. Deep down, we knew they were never going to make it at Manchester United. That's not to criticise them, just in regards to the competition.
Really? I kind of held out hope for Iqbal.
I had a huge hope, but not going to make it at Manchester United.
Like, I thought, look, with Charlie Savage, I agree with you. And that's not a knock on Charlie Savage, because I think he's been good at the youth levels. But Iqbal had a good preseason. He looked good. And held his own. Like, you don't look... If a player blends in preseason, you think nothing of him. Zidane Iqbal looked above the people just blending in.
Quality-wise, I see it, and definitely you can compare the quality to Fred or McTominay and say, yeah, Zidane Iqbal's got more about him. But just in regards to what it takes to make it, and not saying Zidane Iqbal didn't have what it took, but I just didn't see that path to the first team in regards to achieving results tomorrow. If he's not going to get that, if he's not going to get football in the next 6 months, is he going to develop into that player? I just didn't see that path into the first team for Zidane Iqbal, and a lot of that just comes down to timing. unfortunate. A name here in regards to, actually, I'll just read out Tom here. I'm gutted we got rid of Iqbal. Obviously, maybe Ten Hag probably didn't think he was good enough to improve to the level required. And we know he's ruthless, but I feel he'd been a good player. It is frustrating as fans. Sometimes you do want to see a player given a chance, and we do sort of look at Erik Ten Hag and sort of completely respect it and agree with him in terms of not just playing a young player for the sake of it, but we also sometimes they might just need a chance. They might not be able to show everything on the training pitch. Maybe they need the platform at times, but I do agree. Justin here with a shout, Larry, in regards to someone we could throw in midfield. Donny van der Beek. I'm not sure what happens here in regards to shop window Donny van der Beek, or is he fit? Like he's training, but again, is he actually going to be fit to play? I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe. I don't. Again, another player who I absolutely expect to leave. I absolutely expect him to leave.
Can United sell him?
Yeah.
Without playing, he hasn't run in 6 months.
I think so. I think they'll be prepared to take a loss on him. How much did United sign him for? Around £37 million from memory, from my
30 something, yeah, mid-30s probably.
I think if you get 20 to 25 million for him, I think you just got to take it.
Yeah, no,
he's not on loan, right? He's gone on loan. He struggled on loan. He's now been he's had opportunities at United. He's been injured. I think you just need to cut your losses, to be honest.
Andrew with an interesting shout here. And look, we don't know the full story, obviously, but there's more to the Iqbal story than he's telling us. He wanted to play for his country, and Erik Ten Hag refused, maybe discipline issues, in my opinion. There's a similar thing with Garnacho. Obviously, kept Garnacho back, and Garnacho signed a new contract, but obviously different players react differently. There's no doubt about that. But look, again, even there's probably more to the story in regards to transfer fee, in regards to a buyback clause or a sell-on fee, etc. No doubt about it. But in regards to that midfield, in terms of, obviously, definitely we both want to see Kobbie Mainoo play. Number 7, Mason Mount. Whether it starts the second half, obviously that's up for flip of a coin. But what do you sort of want to see from Mason Mount in regards to just fitness? Do you want to see him played in a particular role? Do you need to see a performance, etc.? What are you thinking out of this one?
I want to see Kobbie Mainoo start. He is the one because he's a young kid. And I want to see him given an opportunity with the strongest 11 at times around him. And he's the one, I think in preseason, we've brought it up before. Given that there's such a cloud, I think Fred, the rumors around Fred are starting to ramp up. I think Fred is very likely to leave, to be honest. Everything's kind of pointing that way. You're seeing Fulham. It's coming up more and more and more. So I think you expect Fred to leave. But Mainoo's the obvious one that you can say, yeah, I could see him being lifted into the first team. Maybe not to play as many games as Fred or McTominay, but if he makes 15 appearances this season, great. For a kid who's 18, you couldn't ask for more. It's brilliant. And the fact that he got trusted to play in a quarter-final in the Carabao Cup at 17 years of age tells me that Ten Hag clearly rates him. So...
Yeah, well, there's that one image, and again, this is me as a fan being too excited and reading far too much into this, especially being so giddy after winning the League Cup final. There was that footage where you did see Kobbie Mainoo, I think, was in his suit or his tracksuit. He wasn't involved in the matchday squad. But when they're going around with the trophy after the match at Wembley, Erik Ten Hag goes over to Kobbie Mainoo and has a real sort of, not intense talk, but how Erik Ten Hag talks where he's pointing to him and he looks like he's almost shouting at him, sort of giving him a specific instruction. And you can only, your mind just races, I wonder, you'd love to be a fly on the wall and realize and sort of understand what that conversation was. And obviously putting 2 and 2 together, or what you sort of want the conversation to have been, was Erik Ten Hag going to Kobbie Mainoo saying, look, you put your head down, this is going to be you next season. You're going to be in this midfield at Wembley this time next season. Who knows what the conversation was, but no, Erik Ten Hag, maybe that is. So there obviously is huge hope for Kobbie Mainoo. And obviously, ability-wise, there's no doubt about that. And he's the huge thing in regards to what I think stands Kobbie Mainoo in good stead. Good footballer, good head on his shoulders, all those things. In terms of working your way into the first team, he has that physicality about him. He can get up and down the pitch. He can match it in the men's game. Obviously, it's something he's definitely going to have to improve and sort of experience, but I'm definitely excited. In regards to Kobbie Mainoo, the other man for me, I would definitely like to see for 45 minutes. You've mentioned the last couple of weeks as well. The young Norwegian kid, Isaac Hansen-Aaron. I'd love to see him play. He's probably the opposite in regards to, I think he's one of the most brilliant footballers in regards to the way that the ball is glued to his foot. Is the opposite of Kobbie Mainoo. His struggle extremely difficult with the physicality. So I don't see a huge path, especially with Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, etc., into the first team. But in regards to quality, you'd like to see him showcase his skills.
Look, if you're going to get sleeve tattoos, you've got to be tough. And he just doesn't have the toughness that matches
Oh,
his tattoo.
no, he might be tough as nails. I'm just in regards to the physicality of getting.
It's tongue in cheek, but
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying. Like, what's the stereotype? If you see a guy with sleeve tattoos, you're like, oh man, he's a tough guy. He's going to be physical with you. No physicality about him whatsoever. Look, in saying that, who knows? It's the off season. Maybe he's been working in the gym. But he again, you're right. Another one who, with the ball, brilliant to watch. But there have been lots of players who come to United who are brilliant to watch with the ball at their feet. There's so much more to it. Who knows? Look, midfield's the most contentious position on the football pitch this preseason for me. If a midfielder really takes their opportunity, I think they've got every chance of telling Ten Hag, I want to be part of this squad, because we've got bodies there, but there's a genuine lack of quality. Even for Casemiro, I mean, the shame, the thing that's so disappointing for us here, even, there's not a young kid that I could say plays that position. I think with Casemiro specifically, that solution comes in the transfer window. And it is a shame, because I think if someone could play 6, or even at a stretch like 8, with a defensive sense, not what Kobe Mainoo is as a player, I think they'd have a great chance, because I still worry this season if Casemiro gets suspended or injured or he's out of form, who comes in and relieves him, because there's no obvious choice.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And look, we'll wrap up with the front three, Larry. Now, you can throw these all into the one discussion, or you can sort of do them individually across the front three, but start through the middle. The only striker I can think of in regards to names, in terms of senior players there, is Anthony Martial. Now, it's one of those ones we're going to have a tongue-in-cheek. He's not going to be fit for the match. Of course, he's there, but it's just one of those unfortunate discussions we're going to have around him. Do you expect to see anyone else play up front, or Anthony Martial will be the main man until competition arrives in the shape of a Danish kid, potentially?
Well, no one's talking about it, but if you're Charlie McNeil, you got to have a big preseason. There's nobody there right now. It's Martial and Charlie McNeil. That's it. If you're Charlie McNeil, you gotta find yourself one-on-one with the goalkeeper this match, and you got to find yourself one-on-one with the goalkeeper in every game possible. Because again, just due to the sheer lack of numbers, if you're Charlie McNeil and he has a big preseason, scores loads of goals, he will force Ten Hag's thinking. He will.
Has Charlie McNeil been training? I'm not sure if it's Hugel or Charlie McNeil's been. Maybe potentially both have training. But have you seen either in the training photos?
I haven't seen them in the photos, but they have to be back because
I'd assume so. Yeah.
Both of them finished their loans. I think Hugel. Does Hugel? I mean, it's very possible.
Both of them, to be fair. You look at the great strikers we've had come through the youth system. The prime example, you can read my mind already in regards to James Wilson. The great strikers we have come through. I see a future for them. Really? If we're going to go spend 100 million on Harry Kane or 50 million on Højlund, do you really see a future for any of these young strikers? Now, we probably didn't see that for Marcus Rashford. Obviously, you do hit the ground running. That can obviously change the fortunes of a career. But I just don't see. I like them. I see good sort of footballing careers for them. I don't see it at Manchester United. That's not to say I don't give them the opportunity to perform if they do take it.
No, I do agree with you. I mean, and it's a shame because prior to Mason, there wasn't a striker who was doing more goals than games at the youth level. Like even James Wilson was smashing it, but he didn't get more goals than games. Mason Greenwood kind of changed that, to be honest. He got more goals than games. And now it kind of feels like if a player doesn't do that, it almost feels like they're failing, which isn't really fair. But just from what I see out of both those boys, just not the same level. So who knows?
Either side of them, and don't worry about the left-hand side or the right-hand side, but just in regards to the wide areas, the two names that probably dominate this one, Jadon Sancho and Amad Diallo. Different reasons, different situations, but both you'd have to say probably have to take their chance this preseason.
It's going to be a hard preseason for Sancho because everything he does is going to be heavily scrutinized. And I'm gonna like as a fan and as someone who comes on a YouTube channel and talks, I want to be conscious of not bashing Sancho if it doesn't all look hunky dory to start. But Sancho looked good in preseason last season. It's worth noting that he looked really good in preseason. He scored an absolute banger against Liverpool. He looked good in Melbourne, particularly playing from the right-hand side, which was interesting. So it will be interesting to see how Sancho goes. But Sancho does need to have a good preseason. I think we need a At least from a stamina perspective, he needs to show that he can run for 90 minutes because I'm yet to see that in 2 years at Manchester United.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, it's one of those ones. I don't see a situation where we sell Jadon Sancho this window, and I probably think that would be a mistake to sell him. I do think you need to give him one more chance. And look, you could argue, is that ruthless enough to be sort of where we want to be as Man United fans? I'm not sure. That's Erik ten Hag to decide. I think he needs one more chance, but it's obviously that's been quite lenient. But Andrew saying Sancho must play on the right-hand side. And just one more in regards to Sancho, Tom here saying, what do we think of the talk Sancho looking like he's on the way out and Ten Hag opting to keep Diallo? Have Garnacho. Garnacho's forgotten man. Obviously, he's not available, but forgotten man in this discussion. Play more on the wing, which would push Sancho out. Just his future, Larry.
What you said to me about Garnacho?
That's for the behind-the-scenes footage, I think.
I think so, too.
Yeah, that's for an audio-only podcast at the pub. Yeah, well, we'll keep that one in the back pocket for if we need it a little bit later.
Good idea.
But well, the other man, all these names are sort of. I'm right in regards to that topic, but that's a topic for another day. But Anthony, it was mentioned at the start in regards to I'd say issues off the field last couple of weeks. He needs to get back on it and get us talking about football rather than sort of his right foot or what's happening back in Brazil, etc. He needs to perform as well.
Absolutely. And he's almost, you're right, he is almost a forgotten man. I think the focus will be Amad Diallo, and I think Amad Diallo will start this game. But Anthony will play, and Anthony, again, you're right, mate. Big preseason needed. It's really interesting. The wide areas for United, probably where we have the most strongest depth, but yet we say it's the strongest depth, but all players have question marks over them.
Do you think it's a little bit like right back? Just different situation? The right back with that Wan-Bissaka and Delay, both good? Are they good enough? All the wide players good? Are they good enough?
Well, I think with the wide players, the consensus is they're good enough, but they're just not showing it. Sancho's good enough. Sancho at his best can play for Manchester United. I'm sure of it. I just don't know where his best position is, and I'm not sure if the system will suit him. But all things considered, ability-wise, I think Sancho has everything to be a Manchester United player. He's just got to put it together. Anthony, same thing. I think Anthony will come together. So, yeah, we wait and see.
It's always amazing, and I hate to throw this on players, but unfortunately, it's just one of the facts when you do throw it out there. But Andrew brings up just the wage Jadon Sancho's on. Like I understand he was a bright prospect at Dortmund. It was such a sort of public chase for him in regards to demand. He's an extremely marketable player. I'm fully aware of that. But fair play to his agent for getting that contract sorted out.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how he managed to pull it off, but.
Yeah, no, as I said, I hate sort of using sort of wages and transfer fees to beat players with. I'm not beating Jadon Sancho for it, but it is crazy when you do weigh up what some of the other players and some of the players sort of who are achieving great things at other clubs, the wage they're on, and you can see what Jadon Sancho. And I don't think Jadon Sancho was as bad as look. He wasn't good. He definitely needs to improve greatly, but I don't think he was as bad as many people did make. I did think he did have a contribution to some positives this season. Now, obviously, there were some negatives as well, but he did contribute to some big moments this season and some quite important goals along the way. Now, that's 1-11 sort of throughout the pitch, Larry. Now, we have no idea in terms of first choice or first half and second half and what Erik ten Hag's thinking behind that is. But any other talking points in regards to pre-season or more specifically this Leeds match that you want to see or you're expecting to see?
No, not really. Show me a young kid that I don't know a lot about. That'd be great. And hopefully, I mean, this is a hope, not an expectation. Let a young kid. But after that game, when you and I do our match review, I hope a kid's still on the show that we're talking about, because that suggests that that's the excitement about this. Like, this is your opportunity to put your name in lights. So hopefully, a kid takes their opportunity. That's what I'd love to see more than anything. And
definitely, look, this is pre-season. The result definitely means nothing. But in regards to it is Leeds at the end of the day. You're a young kid and you go score a goal against Leeds or something. They will get your names in the headlines. And when your name's in the headlines, it draws attention. And the manager sort of can't hide from that. So the platform is there. The opportunity is there. Fingers crossed, both the experienced but also the young players can take it with both hands. But Larry, it was a pleasure not talking about transfers and ownership. Now, I'm sure we'll be doing it in about 24 hours' time, no doubt. But it was good to have a little bit of a break and talk about football, because it is Manchester United Football Club, which I'm placing a great demand on our new owners to reinstate to the badge as their first order of business. But look, hopefully everyone did enjoy that. Yeah, I know it's not happening, but I can hope, I can dream. But look, hopefully everyone did enjoy that. We do appreciate all the opinions in the live chat. Please do leave a like on the video if you are happy that football is back in some way, shape or form, albeit pre-season football. Hit subscribe and that notification bell, because as I said, you'd assume Onana will get a here we go from Fabrizio Romano within the next, my guess is within the next 48 hours, who knows. And we'll obviously be back to have a bit of a review after the match, hopefully, as Larry said, talking about a youngster taking their chance. But Larry, pleasure as always.
Pleasure, mate.
And everyone else, enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are. And Larry and I will chat to you soon. Cheers.